You can always use the chat box or raise your hands if you want to speak or ask questions. Please ask all your questions today because this is going to be our last class. Okay? So once again, I welcome you all to Early Career Financial Literacy and Investment Strategy in the Energy Industry class. Okay? Thank you, Ma. And Miss Chineye, please, you can start your class.
Okay, all right. Welcome everyone to today's class. Today is our next class. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation and for making our time today, being the weekend, to join today's class. It's not an easy one. I know we all have tight schedules, we have things we are engaged in, we have one or two things we are doing, but you still brought out time to be part of this class, to learn more. It's part of the growth and personal development that we're talking about. And it's also part of the investments we're talking about. Anything you spend your time and your money and you're expecting to recoup some return is also a form of investment. So I'll have to give you guys the accolade today and thank you for taking out time to join today's class. So I'm going to run down what we have done so far since we started this program. I know that most times we skip a weekend because of my own tight schedule as well. But I try as much as possible to compress the classes and make sure I cover up some significant and important aspects of the program. The title of this session is Early Career Financial Literacy and Investment Strategy. So when we started this class, I brought out a roadmap. So we started with introduction. The first class, we introduced ourselves. We had some significant number of persons that were on board that time. Now I think we just have like 6 participants, but it's actually not bad. Then we moved to mindsets, where we spoke on different types of mindsets. We have the fear-based mindset. We can't talk about investments without, or maybe you can't try to solve a problem without even identifying what the root cause is all about. So that was where we spoke on different types of mindsets. I asked some few questions. I gave an example, someone answered it, and then we moved to understanding income, expenses, and budgeting. I'm aware that most of us here, we have some science background, engineering background. You just few that are in the accounting or finance field. So it's good to make mention of these terminologies because you cannot talk about investment without mentioning income, expenses, budgeting, all those accounting and finance terminology. So we spoke on it. Then I'm just doing a rundown on what we've done and what we've covered so far. We did building habits for saving smart and spending smart as well, where we spoke on investments, tracking your expenses, ways to save. I spoke on using some app, PiggyVest, Harvest, Cowrywise. So there are some other little apps that you can actually download and use it to track your spending or your investment or even save. I mentioned downloading your bank statement, analyzing it, because I'm sure that we are all aware, we are in the internet now. We know of business analytics, financial modeling, and others. We might be doing it as part of our side gigs that we are trying to learn to upskill ourselves. You can actually integrate it into your life, your personal finance. Run a forecast, try and track your expenses. We spoke on it. Then investment basics, introduction to investment and financial planning. We spoke about that one. We talked about financial, the types of risks, the types of people, because we have those that are risk averse, those that are risk neutral and risk prone. I divided the investment into three different segments. We have the one that has a lower risk, medium risk, and also high risk. High risk is buying of shares because it gives you a higher return. That means the higher the return, the higher the risk, or vice versa. So today we are talking about exploring career income paths in the energy sector and risk management, and also most importantly, wealth management. But before we go into today's topic, a question was dropped in the group chat, and I said I'm going to answer that later. And the question was, what do you advise for Stanbic IBTC shares like Stanbic IBTC Balance Funds, Nigerian Equity, or Ethical Funds? These are three different investment options that we have. And if I'm to reiterate what I mentioned the last class, or maybe the previous classes we had, I divided the risks or maybe the investment into some segments. For the balance fund, think of it like a basket and that holds different items, more like two items. You have a basket or you have a bowl that holds two different items. So okay, you have a bowl that holds two different items. So the first part of the item is company shares, while the other part of the item is more like government bonds. So balance fund, as the name implies, is balanced. So you're not like putting all your eggs in one basket, just investing. You're more like it's a mix. You're investing in company shares and also investing in government bonds, treasury bills, and the likes. So that is what Stanbic IBTC fund is all about. Because you ask you which one is safer, which would you advise someone to invest in among these three. So speaking on Nigerian equity. So Nigerian equity is almost is more, in fact, it's just investing in the Nigerian stock exchange. The risk here is high, very high. You can lose your money, you can make a lot of money as well. So, but when the companies do well, you make a lot of money. When the company they don't perform well, you lose value quickly. So basically this equity fund is basically you investing in the Nigerian stock exchange and in the stock, buying stocks, buying companies' shares. Now, why ethical fund is investing in companies with low or that follow ethical rules. Companies that in Nigeria, there are some areas in Nigeria or there are some regions in Nigeria that does not support or encourage companies that are producing alcohol or they're into making use of tobacco or gambling. So maybe because of their religion, what they believe and all that. So you see, investing in companies that do not get themselves engaged in that is more like investing in ethical funds. So it's more like it's only investing in companies that follow ethical rules, and it tries to make profits while also respecting certain values. So more like you're trying to not to make anybody angry and just investing in companies that follows ethical rules. So the risk there is also high. So it's almost the same thing. It's almost the same thing with the Nigerian Equity Fund. So in comparison, balance funds see it as something that is mixed. You're not just investing only in treasury bills, you're mixing both investing in stock and also so in case you lose this side, you won't entirely lose in the other end. But while equity fund and ethical fund, the risk there is higher. So if I'm to advise, I would go if I'm to let me personalize this. If I'm to invest, I will go for the balance fund unless we have a very trustworthy insurance stockbrokers that will study the market and study the trends but before you can invest in the equity funds and also ethical funds. So I don't know if you have any question concerning it, so that we can go into the agenda of the day. So this is basically the explanation. So balance fund, mix, ethical funds, and then equity funds, the risk there is higher. So it's just that's the meaning. That's just the explanation in a layman understanding. So the one that is safer amongst the three is the balanced fund. At least it's mixed. So if you know that you're risk prone, you can actually go into the equity funds because it has a higher return. At least if you invest like 1 million naira there, maybe as of January, as of June, July, you may be getting up to 6 million, depending. But if the reverse is the case, you might not see your 1 million, you might see something below that. Whereas if you invest in balanced fund, it's just spreading your investment. You're investing both in the stock and also in other low risk, low investment options. So you don't actually lose entirely. So that's just the thing. I think I will start now by sharing my screen for today's session. I'm coming. I'm coming. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma.
Okay. So today's class is
Yes, ma.
okay, you can see it. Okay, thank you. Today's class is exploring career income paths in the energy sector. The energy sector, which is the oil and gas, power, renewable energy, is one of the world's biggest industries beyond technical work, and it offers significant income and benefits. So in exploring career income paths in the energy sector, we are all aware that once you hear oil and gas, you'll be like, these are the big ballers, that these are the people that earn the highest, and which is actually true. They, they, they pay significantly good. So exploring opportunities in such sector will require a lot from us. So we have different types of career and income streams. We have the direct employment, contracting and consulting. We have the entrepreneurs and then the investment. So the investments here, you can actually buy shares in the company and own an equity in any of the companies. So direct employment are for those people that are fully employed or partly employed in a company, business, or rather organization that earns income. So I believe that some of us here, we are either undergraduates, we are huddling between one job or the other, or fresh graduates that are trying to explore the energy industry, explore opportunities in the field, engineering field, energy field. So it's best you know different types of employment so that if they give you an employment letter, you probably read it and know if this is a full-time employment, if this is a contract employment, if this is a part-time employment. So we also have contracting and consulting. This one is not a full-time kind of job. You can be a consultant, tax consultant, engineering consultant, depending on your field, a HR consultant, a consulting, depending on your field. So you can be a consultant. You're not working under anybody. You can come, deliver your goods or service, and they pay you, you go your way. I think that one attracts a tax. I think that is a withholding tax of 5%, 2%, 10%, depending on the type of contract or the type of consulting work you do for the person. So we also have entrepreneurship. This is more like you owning your business. You have your business, and we also have entrepreneurship. You can be working and also have your side gig, doing your work, doing your thing. Then the next slide is traditional employment and financial. Okay, the financial slide. So we have income structure. I know most of us, I know we are working. Once they give you your employment letter, you might see the salary might be structured in different ways. You have a basic salary, housing allowance, and the transport allowance, offshore medical hazard allowance. And these are the kind of allowances you might mostly see if you're trying to get into the oil and gas industry because of the kind of risks you're exposed to. The engineers are exposed to so many kinds of hazards. So you have to be paid for that. You have some performance-based bonus. Some companies, they engage in what they call profit share. At the end of the year, then they declare the profits. The directors, the owners of the business might decide to reinvest or maybe to pay out dividends and maybe put some significant portion of the profits back into the business and maybe pay profit, share profit with the employees and also share bonuses to the employees. You have the retirement and pensions contribution. And pension and retirement is the last thing I'm going to talk about towards the end of this class because we are young professionals and in as much as we have been dwelling on investment opportunities, types of investment, invest in treasury bills, invest in money markets, invest in mutual funds, buy bonds, buy government bonds, buy shares, buy stocks, and all that. You cannot talk about investment opportunities without talking about your retirement, how to manage your wealth, and also how to protect your wealth as well. Because yes, we know that we are still young, we're still youth, but you need to start now to start talking about how your retirement is going to be, how it's going to look at. So I would advise you, we have our jotters, bring out our pen and journals to write down key things you would like to take home with us because today is the final class. So we have contracting and entrepreneurship. I've explained this in the other slides. So salary ranges and compensation. Um, as you're exploring opportunities in the energy industry. Yeah, we are all aware that the energy sector, the oil and gas sector, is three main um, branches also. And we have the upstream, midstream, downstream. So we also have the power, the energy, the renewable energy. This one is actually fast-paced. And comparing salaries in these sectors, the highest salary is those that find themselves in the upstream industry. So you can build yourself, work towards landing a job that cuts across the upstream industry. You also have the power and utilities. This is more like the power holding. They might not be paying as much as the upstream industry, but at least the salary there is actually just. We have the renewable energy. It's lower when you start because most renewable energy companies are startups and then they might not really be paying well, but I believe it's a fast-paced sector that will be paying in the nearest future. So, but compared to the upstream, the gap is kind of much. So beyond salary, what are your total compensation? Beyond salary, if you're exploring opportunities in if you're most what you'll be looking at beyond salary negotiation is what are the healthcare opportunities? Does the company provide healthcare? Do they provide housing allowance? Do they provide transportation allowance? Do they provide maybe travel, training opportunities, pension? Because there are some companies you might find yourself in and they might not be offering all these. These are the questions you need to ask yourself as a young professional that is navigating through jobs. Then apart from negotiating your salary, you have to ask these important questions before maybe penning down or maybe signing any form of employment contract. So ask these basic questions. They might look basic, but they are quite important because health is actually wealth, housing insurance, and all that. You have to ask this, read your employment letter thoroughly before you accept or maybe reject it, because ask questions as well. So factors influencing career income. What are the factors that influence our career income? You have the education. So before some people pay, anyway, let me put it this way. For you to earn or you land a good paying job, I know that yes, your qualification and maybe networking also play a major role, but qualification also play a very good role as well, because you have to be certified. If you find yourself in engineering field, try and get your Korean, look for international certifications that resonates with engineering, those in project management, PMP, those in finance, CFA, ACCA. In health and safety, you have to do some HSCQ or HSC quality control certifications, and then renewable energy certifications. So these are things, certifications that you could get that can land you a better pay as you grow in your career, or as you're about to finish school. Then if you have younger ones that are still coming up, you can also share this with them. Then also you can things you can also gain how you have things you have to get a better pay is more like experience and seniority. So senior roles in project management, finance. So if you have good experience, because if you're on LinkedIn, if you're scrolling through the space of LinkedIn, you'll see that you see some job openings. It'll tell you that having XYZ is another advantage. Minimum of 10 years of experience, minimum of 2 years of experience, things like that. Try and gain hands-on quality experience, because some people might spend 10 years on a job role and they think they're actually learning something, but it's just that you say it's what were you doing throughout your 10 years in that particular role, because what have you gained? Because quality experience is also very important. I know that yes, the number of years of experience, people look at it, employers look at it, but you might land that interview, and by the time they start interviewing you for the role, you see that you are not meeting or matching up to their expectation. So the sector of segment is also part of important things you have to look out for. Are you looking for career opportunities in the oil and gas? Are you streamlining it just only to the oil and gas sector, or are you open to any form of opportunity you find yourself? If it's renewable energy, hospitality and industry, FMCGs, any other place. So you shouldn't also limit yourself to a particular industry. Good. Just try and learn skills and be versatile. So anywhere you find yourself, you can hit the ground running. And geography, where you are also plays an important role in the kind of salary you will earn. You can't compare someone working in Lagos to someone working in the village. They won't earn the same. So where you are, for example, nursing, those that study nursing in Nigeria and also working or maybe practicing here, you can't compare a nurse here and those working overseas. So the salary range is also different. The way they structure their salary is also different. So these are what you have to take key notes on while in navigating through the job roles or job opportunities out there. Future income trends, the shift in renewable energy. So there's this, you can go into renewable energies and also sustainability as well. So you can go and maybe take a certification course in sustainability finance, carbon finance, or maybe any just research. These are new things that are coming up. And even AI courses can take, because AI now is kind of trying to take jobs away from humans, but you don't have to sit down and wait for that. And also over dependence on AI can also have its negative effects on us. So as well as in as much as we also need to use AI, learn courses on it, you also have to balance it as well. Then flexibility, building transferable skills is crucial for adaptability. So you have to build your skill, invest in yourself as well. You not only invest in your money, you also spend money on investing yourself, because how would you invest if you don't earn more money? You have to earn higher income, earn more money so that you'll be able to invest in yourself and also invest in other platforms, buy lands, and all that. So practical advice to students is that focus on transferable skills, project management, finance, leadership. For those that studied accounting, ask yourself, or maybe I'm using accounting because I have accounting background. You can ask yourself where I am now, what am I doing? Okay, in the next 5 years, which kind of skill? Each year you should have a goal, the kind of goal you have to set a goal for yourself. Make sure that each year, before any year runs down, learn a particular skill. If you're in engineering, go to Coursera, go to Udemy, go to all those online, this even Microsoft, learn a skill. Make sure you have it. Learn a skill that will take you or land you a good and a better job, because the competition is high. Imagine those that went to school back in the days, there was nothing like ChatGPT, there was nothing like AI. They will give you an assignment, they will give you projects, you go home, you go and be looking for textbooks, you go to library, do the assignment, plot the graph and everything. But right now, students they have all these things in hand and handy. You would see that someone that might a year one student, before you know it, the person will graduate, and you start competing with the person that just. So you have to be alert. You have to be conscious. Don't sleep. You don't have to sleep. You just learn those skills that could land you a good paying job. If you're focusing on the oil and gas or the energy industry, learn significant skills that will take you to the next level. Then gain early exposure. Go for internships, certifications. For those that are yet to serve, be intentional about where you want to do your NYSC, because where you do your NYSC, where you land yourself, the first 2 years of your career will play a significant role. It will either catapult you to the next 5 years of your life, or it might actually limit you further. So you have to be intentional about what you want. Then plan your income wisely. This is not the time for omble. We are still in our early stage of our career. This is the time you invest. This is the time you buy lands. This is the time you spread your portfolio. You can go into research. If you're not risk prone, look for investment that has lower risk, that you can actually invest your money in, and you can sleep well at night and wake up. Not the one you will invest and you will be having sleepless nights. You won't be comfortable. So these are the things you have to do. Then explore entrepreneurship. Yes, we love white collar job. We like to wake up in the morning, you wear your tie, you wear your shoe, put on your pencil heel and go. But at the end of the day, if you come back, look for things, those ideas, those things you do willingly without anybody pushing you, that you actually do. So look for a way to solve problem. I was discussing with someone earlier today, and the person was like, in the cement industry, look at the way Dangote is really doing. He's really, and he might bring out a price, you price down the prices and all that. Even on the oil and gas industry, look at what he's doing. That he can actually look for a way to solve problem, be innovative. If we look at cement now, people buy cement in bags. You might say, okay, some people might want to buy cement just to repair their broken tires at home, and they don't really need to buy a whole bag of cement. You might be innovative to create sachet cement. Maybe just the way we have sachet beverages we take. You might just be innovative. That one, you might just test the market and be innovative in that aspect. I'm just using this as an example, but you might just be innovative. You never can tell what you can come out of it. So try and solve problems. By solving problems, you can see you're already combining your work with the entrepreneurship opportunities you have. So these are the things you have to look out for. And then lastly on this slide, powering your financial future. The energy sector is not just about powering homes and industry. It can power your financial future as well. Whether you go in as an employee, a consultant, a business owner, or an investor, I mentioned it, there are diverse ways to earn. So, but the real key is positioning yourself with the right skills, adaptability, and financial discipline. So positioning is also an important thing you have to do. So while we're exploring these career opportunities in the energy sector, talking about opportunities, we need to look at the risks involved. So I actually I didn't have the time to prepare a presentation slide. So that is why I said that if you find for these for risks and wealth management, wealth protection, and retirement plan. So you have to pay key attention for these segments I'm diving into. So we have risk management and wealth management. What is risk management? With the word risk self, you know that there is trouble. So risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, minimizing financial risks that could negatively impact your money, investment, and assets. Because as you're investing, you are prone to risk, you're open to risks. So it depends on how you measure your risk. And wealth protection as well is more like safeguarding your wealth. You have to already build from a road. Okay, where if you want to safeguard your wealth, you have to if you want to do wealth management, you have to safeguard it jealously in such a way that you at the end of the day you won't be able to you won't find yourself sad, and maybe by the time you retire and all that. So think of it as building a strong roof over your house, over your home, so that when the storms come, it will not wipe you away. So why does this matter? Why should we safeguard our wealth? Why do we have to think about risk management? You work hard to earn and grow money. You don't want anything bad or any negative thing to impact your savings or your investment. It provides financial security. If you protect your wealth against risks, it will provide financial security for you and also your dependents as well. Then it helps you sleep better at night. I mentioned it because if you go and invest lackadaisical and maybe you're complacent about the investment you make, I don't know how you'll be able to sleep well at night. Really don't know how you'll be able to do that. So I'm coming. Coming. So we have different types of risks. We are mentioning we have different types of risks. We have market risks. These market risks, investment losing value due to market swing. So the market, Nigeria as a whole, is volatile. Tomorrow, the government can come up and say, we are increasing taxes to 50%, and there's nothing you can do about it. Everybody will have to adjust to it. The exchange rate might increase. I think we are on 1,530 right now. It might increase to 2,000 tomorrow, and you don't have power over it. Market risks, inflation risks is also part of the risks you have to be looking at, because you might be losing money due to inflation. Inflation back then in school, persistent rise in the price of goods and services is you being unable to buy the basic things you used to be because the prices are always increasing. The flip side of it is deflation. So you have credit risk. Credit risk is businesses, maybe borrowers or businesses defaulting. You might go and borrow money. For those people that goes to all those loan agencies to borrow, if you're unable to pay, it's actually signaling a very negative effect on you, because they are taking note of it. That means you've defaulted in paying back your loan, and if you want to borrow more funds, they might be unable to give you funds because your credit rating is actually very low. So it's actually a risk you have to look at. Liquidity risk, this is very, very important. The inability to access cash when needed. Companies, and for those of us that prefers investing into stock market or buying shares, it's advised that before you go into buying of shares of any company, even if it's an SME, you have to look at the financial statement. Go straight to the profit and loss and the cash flow statement. If you see that they are having liquidity issue, I don't think it's advisable to invest in such company, because having liquidity issue means that they are unable to pay their short-term obligations. They are unable to meet up with their short-term obligations. Short-term obligations are things that maybe expenses that span between 1 to 12 months. So if they're unable to pay basic things like salary, wages, electricity, will they be able to pay you your investment or your returns or return on investment when you invest in that company. So these are the key things, because a company might declare a profit of 20 billion, whereas the cash flow, you look at the cash flow statement, it's showing negative balance. That means that, or maybe it's showing 2 million. That means that they are just inflating that the P&L simply shows, is showing the debit and credit entries. They have already factored in depreciation, amortization, and the likes. And whereas the cash flow statement is showing that they don't have enough cash to meet up some forms of obligation. So we have business risks, we have health and life risks, we have legal risks. This kind of risks, we don't really plan for it, because something might come up, and then you don't sit down and say that I want to go to court. So somebody might sue you, or something might happen, you might sue someone. You have to have funds aside to take care of such emergency. So going down to retirement, um, we can't talk about investment without talking about retirement, because we started this class, or we started off on a good note. We touched several areas in finance and investment, but retirement is also a form of investment, because people really neglect it, and young professionals don't really pay attention to it, because we feel that we are too young to start planning for our retirement. We feel that we are too young, that we are just, how old am I? I'm 25. I just finished at the age of 21. I was so happy. I was so lucky. I got a job at 22, 23. I'm too young to even start talking about retirement. Retirement is for old people. No, that's the misconception we young ones are having. But this is the time you need to start planning for your retirement. The moment you start working and start earning income, another form of investment you'll be looking out for is your retirement plan. Things you need to look out for by the time you clock 60 or 65. I think for lecturers it's 65, for professors it's 70, for private sector it depends, 30 years, 35 years. So imagine after working 30 to an average of 30 to 35 years, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it. You've invested in so many things. You put your money in crypto, it disappeared. You did CBEX, you can't remember what happened. You did MMM. You are just investing in reckless things that you can't even take account of it. But maybe the land you bought, one government official said no, that they want to build one secondary school, and the land is gone. You actually did not plan for your retirement. You don't have any cash flow to fall back on. You don't have a voluntary pension account that you actually offsetting aside. So I know we are young. I know we are still starting our career. I know we are looking for investment strategies to invest in. Yes, we have dwelled, we have spoken, we have spent the last few weeks talking about different forms of investments, and it will be appalling that we don't mention investment and retirement savings as part of the investment portfolios or investment platform before we end the class. And that is the reason why I have to take this as part of the last class, so that we can have it at the back of our head, and we have it in mind that this is actually an important segment in investment that we need to have to actually take note on why we are looking for portfolios to invest. So what is retirement? Retirement is a phase in life when you stop working actively for income and start living on the wealth that you have accumulated so far. So once you retire, you might be unable to work. You might, depending on when you retired, so you might not have that energy to work as how you were back 20 years or 30 years ago. So you have to depend on the investment you've made when you were young. So it's about financial independence once you're done working. So having enough resources to maintain your lifestyle without relying on active employment is very, very crucial and important. So why retirement planning matters? Why do you have to plan for your retirement? Why is this part of an investment option or portfolio? Longevity. Some people might live up to 20 to 30 years after retirement. Imagine you started working at the age of 20, maybe before you know it's 30, at the age of 60 you've retired. and you see that maybe God blessed you, you lived up to 100. You see that if you retire at the age of 60, you still have like 40 whole years to live on earth. And if the investment you made that time was not really enough, you see that you outlive the investment you even made, and it might not really be enough for you by the time you retire. We have inflation. You have to plan for your retirement because of inflation. And this reminds me, I was speaking to one person. He's retired. I think the man was 81 years, or is 81. Okay, he's 81 years. And he said that his pension is collecting right now is 100,000 naira. He was a lecturer back then in one of the prestigious universities in Nigeria. And by the time he retired, what they are paying him as pension, that is what he's entitled to, which is 100,000. And pension, and then for pension, they pay you 50% of the amount you were earning as at when you retired. So that means he was earning like 200,000 naira as at maybe 2005 or 2008 when he retired. So they'll be paying him that 100,000 naira till he retired. So imagine he's 81 years old now. And imagine with time value of money, inflation, increase in prices, everything that is going on now, and he was relying on only that his pension fund. Imagine earning 100,000 naira now at this present age. Imagine it as an, I can't even imagine how he would be living if he had not gone to invest in other things, investing in businesses, investing in properties, investing in other platforms that he's actually will keep him money from right now. So that means if he hadn't invested in other areas, that means he will be relying on that 100,000 naira. So I know that as at when he was working years back in 1990 something, you will be thinking that, wow, 100K is a big money. Imagine any 100,000 naira as at 1995, as at 2000. You're a big boy, you're a big man. So imagine you are now relying on that. So you have to consider time value of money as well, because 100,000 naira now compared to 100,000 naira 20 to 30 years ago, you can't really imagine. So you have to look out for that. That is the reason why you need to plan for retirement. So health cost, you have to invest in your health also. Look for health insurance, look for good insurance companies you can invest in for loss of regular income as well. So we talk about pillars of retirement. Retirement savings, we have some pension funds that you can relate to. I know that most of us here that are already working, your employer is actually paying your pension. And for those that don't have the accounting background, that doesn't have the opportunity to do payroll accounting, then a pension is calculated on your basic housing and your transport allowance, where your employer has his own percentage they will contribute, while you as an employee has your own percentage. The percentage for your employer is 10%, while you're contributing 8%, making it 18% in total. So this is what your employer has to be remitting to your pension account on a monthly basis till you resign or till you retire from your work. But most people do not know that even before you retire, you can actually access your pension. So you have the opportunity to apply for 25% of your pension. You apply to your pension fund administration in order for you to access your RSA, retirement savings account. So entitled to 25% of your pension. So, but they have some eligibility criteria for you to be able to access such pension. I'm coming. So for you to access such pension, you must have lost your job for over 4 months, or you must have retired. So you can access 25% of your pension if you want to, but it's advised you, and depending on the scenario or the kind of engagement you find yourself. So pension, I know that most people are not aware of it. So even after retirement, for example, let me use an example to illustrate it. You are working and you were below 50 years, and you lost your job at the age of 45, and you were unable to find your feet between that few months, maybe 6 months, we are out of job. You can apply to your pension. They will give you 25% of the money they've contributed so far that in your pension account. So that 25% is for you to be able to find your feet. You can use it to invest, use it to start up a business or thereabouts. So the conditions you have to have before you can access it is that you must be under 50 years. So if you're above 50, you can't apply to get 25% of your pension if you are above 50. And you must have been out of work for at least 4 months. So if you're out of work for at least 4 months, you can apply. Then you must provide documentary evidence, such as your letter of disengagement, your resignation letter, and the acceptance letter that you've resigned that you've resigned. So these are things you need, the documents you need to produce in order for you to get the 25% of your pension. You can actually access it. So even before, so for example, a scenario that you access this fund and later on you retired, and you feel like you need some lump sum from your retirement fund, you can apply to your pensions funds, and then but the percentage is not really stipulated on how much you're eligible to take. Then that is depending on your pension fund administration. They will deliberate on the amount they can give you as a lump sum. So even back then, as an employee, you're also entitled to gratuity as well. So these are things you actually need to be aware of as young professionals in the industry. You should be aware of this so that you'll be knowledgeable. So that by the time you find yourself in situations like this, you could at least you are aware that you're entitled to 25% of your total pension. You don't need to wait till you retire. Then you can access it so that and you can make use of it to do what you have to do. So this is part of the key notes that I want us to have before we end the class. So I'm coming part of the research I made concerning today's class. So in terms of insurance, we have insurance is another form of investment you do, but insurance here in Nigeria, people don't really like buying into it because of the story around it. When it's time to pay for them to pay your indemnity, it comes with a lot of clauses and all that. So you can also, for those that are married here, you can also insure your students' education. You can be paying a significant portion yearly or monthly. Like at the end of the day, maybe when your child clocks 15 years, the insurance company can take care of your children's school fees at the end of the day. So it's also a form of investment. Your plan, because if you look at those days, for those that went to maybe government schools or so, most of your classmates back then in secondary school, people finished WAEC, and all of a sudden you will hear that while your friend is already in Ukraine, UK, US studying, you'll be like, how? How did this happen? But you don't know that their person's parents started on time, even started from when the child was 1 year old. I started paying insurance premium for insurance. I started paying insurance for a premium for the child's education. So for you to see, by the time the child clocks 15, 16, and is ready to go to the university, you see that the insurance company is taking care of the child's schooling to any university they want, depending on the agreement or the contract you have with the insurance company. So these are other forms of investment, deeper investment opportunities that will also help you as you grow and in the industry, as you grow in the field. So and on a norms, this would take another series of classes, but I had to just compress this into today's class so that at least we'll touch each and every part one after the other. So we'll be aware of some insurance policies, some pension policies, some the provisions, the employment contracts, and every other thing. So you'll be aware of it, and have a better knowledge, so that wherever you find yourself, you will not be speaking from the place of ignorance. So these are the investment portfolios and investment strategies that we young professionals should find ourselves in and also key into, so that you will not be left behind while other people are growing their wealth and maximizing their potentials. So at this point, I have come to the end of today's session. So I don't know if we have any question. I don't know if you have any question. Um,
Any question? Any? Okay, it seems there are no question, ma.
okay. There are no questions. Are you sure we are going to wait a little bit, because today is the last class, last session, and I would like us to ask any question, any area we need clarity on, because I know I spoke on a lot of things today, starting from the Stanbic down to the insurance, retirement, and all that. So if there are areas you need clarity on, even if they don't have, because you might go back home maybe as you're thinking about it. If you have any question, you can drop it on the group chat. I'm there to answer any question that you feel like asking. Then, and that's it.
Okay, ma. Really want to thank you for today. My note is actually full, from powering our future to retirement and to insurance. Thank you very much, ma. Really appreciate.
You are most
Before I
welcome.
go on, okay, ma.
I say you're most welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma. Okay, in case you don't want to ask your question here, you can always use our group chat. And we still want to thank you again, ma, because this is the last class. So we really, really want to thank you. And please permit us to still come to your DM in case of any question, even if it's not today, maybe next week or anytime you want to do any investment, just to ask you some questions, ma. Okay, I'll say this is the end of today's class since there are no more questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mila. I don't know his iPhone. Abdul Rahman. Thank you. Thank you for participating in this class. Okay.
Okay.
Any final
Thank
note, ma?
Well, I have not one. At least my observation is just that the numbers reduce drastically, and I really do not know the reason why. But I believe that we all have one or two engagements. And since this is weekend, I really understand. Well, my final note is just for us to key in into the trends, and for us not to just relax and be comfortable where we are. We should just keep pushing wherever you find yourself. Ask question, network. We are all learning. Learning is a gradual process, and in as much as this class is strictly on financial investment opportunities and the like. So to try and know ourselves even in the group chat. If you see any employment opportunity, you can share with your colleagues there, and that's just. But it was quite an interesting class, I would say, and some of us we engaged, we asked some questions, those that asked for the platform to invest in. So that is my takeaway and the keynote. So thank you everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your resilience and keeping it up to date to come for this. I really, really, truly appreciate for giving me the opportunity to handle today's class as well. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful weekend.
Ma, thank you very much, Ma.